There is a moment most nice guy experience. It's quiet, no explosion, no dramatic betrayal. Just a subtle shift in someone's tone, a delayed reply, a boundary crossed without apology, a joke at your expense that everyone laughs at, including you. And something inside you tightens. You realize you have been giving respect, but you haven't been receiving it. And the confusion begins. Because you are kind, you are understanding, you are patient, you are available. So why does it feel like you are being handled instead of honored? This is where the psychological trap begins. The first illusion is this: the niceness earns respect. It doesn't. Niceness is a social lubricant, respect is psychological recognition. They are not same currency. Most nice men aren't actually kind from strength. They are kind from fear. Fear of disapproval, fear of abandonment, fear of conflict, fear of being seen as selfish. So they adapt, they soften, they over accommodate, and they call it character. But underneath that behavior is a nervous system trying to stay safe. When your body associates disagreement with danger, it will choose compliance. When your identity is attached to being the good guy, you will protect that image at all cost, even if it costs your dignity. And here's the hard truth: people don't disrespect you because you are nice. They disrespect you because you don't defend your own value. You negotiate against yourself before anyone else has to. You laugh when something feels wrong. You agree when something feels off. You say it's fine when it isn't. Your nervous system avoids tension, but respect lives inside tension. Most nice guys think they are being rejected for being kind. They are not. They are being rejected because their kindness feels like transaction. Unspoken contracts, silent expectations, invisible debt. When someone senses that your generosity carries hidden needs, trust erodes. Real kindness has no hook, no pressure, no scoreboard. And the moment your behavior is driven by fear of losing someone, you have already lost leverage. But here's what most men don't see: the psychological trap goes deeper. The nice guy identity often forms early. Maybe you were praised for being mature, for not causing trouble, for being easy. Maybe love felt conditional, so you learned something powerful and dangerous. If I am agreeable, I will be safe. If I am useful, I will be valued. That belief gets wired into your nervous system. And later in life, you don't just want connection. You need approval to regulate your self-worth. That's attachment, not love. And when attachment is driving you, your behavior becomes subtly manipulative. Not in an evil way, in a survival way. You give to get, you support to secure, you sacrifice to avoid being replaced. But here's the paradox: the more you abandon yourself to keep someone, the less they feel your presence. And respect requires presence. The Roman emperor, philosopher Marcus Aurelius once implied that your worth is determined by the quality of your character, not by applause. But a nice guy man often lives for applause. Silent applause, emotional reassurance, validation through being needed. And people feel that hunger. They might enjoy it, they might benefit from it, but they don't respect it. Because respect requires boundaries, and boundaries create friction. If you are afraid to disappoint someone, you are already beneath them. Let that sit. The moment you prioritize being liked over being truthful, you lower your own authority. And people unconsciously adjust to the level you present. You teach them how to treat you, not with words, with tolerance. If you tolerate subtle disrespect, sarcasm, emotional inconsistency, you are training them. And once that pattern is set, changing it feels like rebellion. But maybe rebellion is exactly what your nervous system needs. Because here's the uncomfortable contrast. Fantasy says, if I love harder, give more, and stay patient, they will realize my value. Reality says, if you don't value yourself first, no one else will feel obligated to. A nice guy confuses endurance with strength, but endurance without self-respect becomes self-eraser, and people sense eraser. There's no edge, no gravity, no consequence. The philosopher Nietzsche suggested that resentment grows in those who suppress their true will, and that's what eventually happens. The nice guy becomes bitter, not because he gave, but because he gave hoping it will guarantee loyalty. When loyalty doesn't come, resentment does, and resentment leaks through passive aggression, through withdrawal, through quiet scorekeeping. This is where ego defense mechanism activate. You tell yourself you are morally superior, you frame others as selfish, you double down on being the better person, but internally you feel small. Because you know you didn't speak when you should have, you didn't leave when you could have, you didn't assert when it mattered. And self-betrayal always lowers self-respect. Respect is not something you demand, It's something your nervous system communicates. When you're calm in conflict, when you can say no without over explaining, you signal stability, and stability feels powerful. But here's the tension most men avoid. If you stop overgiving, if you stop chasing, if you stop cushioning everyone's discomfort, some people will leave, and that loss will reveal who was attached to your compliance, not your character. Now we move into rebuilding, because this isn't about becoming cold, it's not about becoming dominant or harsh, it's about integration. Kindness from strength feels different. It has edges. It can say no. It can withstand disappointment. It doesn't panic when someone pulls away. When your identity is no longer the nice guy, but simply a man with standards, everything shifts. You stop performing goodness. You start embodying self-respect. And that changes your posture, your tone, your eye contact, your timing. You respond slower. You agree less automatically. You listen more carefully. Not to manipulate, but to stay aligned. Alignment creates gravity, and gravity commands respect without asking for it. This is nervous system work. You have to train your body to tolerate disapproval, to sit in silence without feeling it, to allow someone to misunderstand you without rushing to clarify, to accept that not everyone will like the version of you that has boundaries. That's maturity, and maturity is calm. There's difference between being needed and being respected. Being needed feels warm, being respected feels stable. One feeds ego, the other builds identity. When you no longer chase validation, your presence changes. You stop trying to prove, you stop trying to rescue, you stop trying to earn. And something subtle happens. People lean in differently, not because you became harder, but because you stopped bending. The goal was never to stop being kind. The goal was to stop being afraid. Because fear-based niceness collapses under pressure. Self-respect does not. So if you recognize yourself in this, good. Awareness is not shame, it's leverage. You don't need to become ruthless. You don't need to become distant. You need to become internally anchored. And that means say what you mean what you say, accept the consequences, stay calm anyway. The world adjusts to men who are steady, not loud, not aggressive, but steady. You were never disrespected because you were kind. You were disrespected because you abandoned yourself. And the moment you stop doing that, everything changes. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly and permanently. That is where real respect begins.